Friday in Macon County, a judge heard arguments for another possible temporary restraining order against the state from enforcing the gun and magazine ban on certain plaintiffs, but those plaintiffs looking to be expanded to be statewide. We'll see what happens with the judge taking that under advisement, but this is could be a third possible TRO. We've had one from Effingham County that was actually upheld by the appellate court on grounds of equal protection violation allegations. You've got another that came after that appellate court decision to uphold the Effingham County case in White County, where the White County judge upheld a TRO on the issue of equal protections. In Macon County, you had a third case that was brought by State Representative Dan Caulkins and others challenging the gun and magazine ban on various grounds, not just the procedural issues of violating the third readings rule, violating the single subject rule, violating the due process and everybody being involved in crafting legislation aspect. Those are apparently questions that are going to be answered at a different time. It was the equal protections issues that are really sticking with these courts that are issuing TROs. But moving forward, you have this separate case in Macon County that includes another allegation about the legislation being special legislation. So I think that's something else we need to unpack. Now, before we hear some of the moments from inside the courtroom in Macon County, I was there on Friday and was able to have a recorder going and hearing some of those arguments. And then also State Representative Dan Caulkins afterwards discussing that with members of the media. The arguments were rather interesting, and we'll get to that. But these are just the state level cases. These are not the federal cases. You've got federal lawsuits ranging from the NRA backing the NSSF, the National Shooting Sports Foundation. You've got that case that could be lumped in with the Federal Firearms of Licensees of Illinois case. You've got that possibly being lumped into the Illinois State Rifle Association's case, all into the Crawford County case, which was moved from state to federal court. So those are four cases that could be lumped together. We're still waiting on some kind of outcome from the Naperville gun ban challenge that was expanded to also challenge the statewide gun and magazine ban. And then you have several other cases as well that are out there pending, including the McHenry County case, which was transferred from state level court to federal court. But back to the Macon County courtroom, where you had Jerry Stocks, the attorney for plaintiffs in the Macon County challenge, one of the lead plaintiffs being State Representative Dan Caulkins. He made the arguments to the judge that we're in chaos right now because you have these rulings that are prohibiting the state from enforcing the gun and magazine ban. And he says that the ruling from the judge in Macon County should be statewide. Here's some of what Jerry Stocks had to say on Friday inside the courtroom.
We're already in the state of Illinois where over 75% of the sheriffs say that they won't enforce it. We have county courts saying that they find it unconstitutional. We have a 5th District Appellate Court opinion declaring it unconstitutional on equal protection grounds. We have chaos right now, and we need to have an order that is clear that this application, that these orders already entered by the 5th District and in this proceeding makes it applicable in all applications. Count 7 of my complaint is a due process, what we call the trapped plaintiff, and it is, in this instance, as applied, but it would be temporarily a moot question because under count 4, the statute should be suspended and enjoined from enforcement pursuant to the Equal Protection Clause.
So what you have is Attorney Stock saying that they've got these temporary restraining orders already in place in Effingham County and White County. You've got sheriffs across the states that are choosing not to enforce this. You've also got just the overall questions about equal protections violations. And he says that with that just one issue about this being a violation of equal protections, then it shouldn't just be for, a few hundred here, a few hundred there. It should be for everybody who's in that class of gun owners in the state of Illinois, essentially arguing that every firearm owner identification card holder should be considered a plaintiff in these cases. So that's Jerry Stocks, the attorney for State Representative Dan Caulkins. But then you had the attorney for Governor J.B. Pritzker from the Attorney General's office, Darren Kincaid, who actually has been one of the lead attorneys in responding to challenges to the COVID-19 orders. And I've seen him in all of those hearings as well, as I've covered those in the past. But Kincaid talked about why he's opposing the idea of opening this up to even more people. He says that procedurally, he understands that the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals is bearing on Macon County, meaning they have to uphold the TRO when it comes to equal protections argument, but he doesn't think it should be expanded statewide. Here's Darren Kincaid.
So in their request for relief in the motion, Your Honor, they only sought a TRO prohibiting the defendants from enforcing against plaintiffs. The first time I heard, or anyone heard, that they were seeking a TRO preventing enforcement against everyone in the whole state was yesterday around 2:30 when they filed not a response to anything that the defendants had done, but rather Mr. DeBoer's petition to intervene in the action. And then all of a sudden it appeared that they were seeking a much, much broader TRO than what they sought in the motion. So obviously that's procedurally improper, Your Honor. But as to the authority for you to do it, it simply doesn't exist. I want to be clear about this. As to the three named plaintiffs, the two individuals and the business, of course you're authorized and perhaps required by Accuracy Firearms to enter a TRO as to the three of them. As to the voluntary association, Your Honor, in concept, we haven't objected to the notion of a TRO preventing enforcement either as to the association or its members. The only objection we've raised is that as a practical matter, Mr. Stock said in his response filed yesterday that we just don't know who the members are at any given point in time, which makes it extremely impossible to know who the act can be enforced against. If there was
Then you have Stock's reply to the judge on that issue saying that they did file a updated filing in this case with a list of plaintiffs that are considered in the law-abiding gun owners of Macon County Association. Is that going to stick? Is it just going to be for the named plaintiffs or for this association? Is it going to be statewide? How is the judge going to handle this? Of course, the Macon County judge has yet to issue that TRO or a ruling on a TRO. We'll see what happens with all of that. But coming back, we'll hear from State Representative Dan Caulkins, who addressed members of the media after Friday's hearing. So we'll get that out for you as well here on WM.